What is up, guys? EJ here, aka PuckBond007, and welcome to the Movie Reviewers 100, this great collaboration channel on YouTube and Facebook that I'm proud to be a part of. So, this week is a sad week. It's Philip Seymour Hoffman tribute week, of course, great actor who passed away a couple of weeks ago on Super Bowl Sunday. Um, yeah, I'm not here to talk about him as a man and the circumstances of his death. I saw a lot of people talk about what they thought of him throwing his life away, if you like, and like they know what they're talking about when it came to drug addiction and stuff like that. Kind of sad what people were writing about him. But I am here to talk about him as an actor, and he was one of the best working today. Just a fantastic actor, always great in every movie he's in. He just made every movie he was in better. I think back to like his early roles, like Twister. He was awesome in Twister. It's a fun film. Even though I sort of hated Along Came Polly, the only scene I remember from that movie is him playing basketball with Ben Stiller. Him just throwing up all these bricks, yelling out, "Rain dance! Let it rain!" Just a hilarious scene. That's a very forgettable movie. I didn't like that movie, but he's great in it. And of course, went on to do great stuff. Won an Academy Award for Capote. Fantastic in recent films in The Master. I thought he was great in that. Doubt. Um, just to name a couple, yeah, just a great actor and really a sad loss for Hollywood and the industry as a whole. The film I am going to talk about today came out in 2007, and that is Charlie Wilson's War, directed by the great Mike Nichols, of course. Mike Nichols been doing great stuff since the 60s with Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, The Graduate, of course, Catch 22, films like Silkwood, Working Girl. Just a fantastic director, been around a long time. Prior to this, he made Closer with Natalie Portman, Julia Roberts, Jude Law, and Clive Owen. I know Scott CineRam is a big fan of that film. And the film he made after that was Charlie Wilson's War, which also co-starred Julia Roberts. The film, of course, stars Tom Hanks, who plays the title character Charlie Wilson, a United States congressman from Texas. Likes his women. I love his office. Like, he's got all these beautiful women working for him. And the opening scene is him in a hot tub, sort of frolicking around with this Playboy playmate and a couple strippers. So he's very much into women and the excess of drinking. He's just a sort of good old boy from Texas, and Tom Hanks plays him really well in this film. It's a fun movie because it takes place during the 1980s, of course, at the height of the film starts out at the beginning of the Soviet Union's invasion of Afghanistan, and Charlie Wilson, Tom Hanks, he sits on the Defense Appropriations Committee or whatever, and he sees that the Soviets have invaded Afghanistan, so he raises the budget of the CIA from $5 million to $10 million, and then he sort of goes about trying to figure out how is he going to get weapons and aid to the Mujahideen, the freedom fighters in Afghanistan, to help kill Russians. And that's basically the driving force of this movie. Charlie Wilson is going to do whatever he can to help the freedom fighters in Afghanistan. He is friends with Julia Roberts' character. She's like basically a campaign contributor, a wealthy, well-to-do woman in Texas. She plays Joanne Herring, and she has this like big party down in Texas, and she has connections with the president of Pakistan, of course, the neighboring country of Afghanistan, and she tells him what the Afghanis need, and he's like, "Well, I can do it. I can get it for you." So then he hooks up with somebody who works at the CIA, and that is, of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman's character, who plays Gust Avrakotos, of Greek descent. He's been in the CIA for 24 years. He was like station chief in Greece for like 15. I love Philip Seymour Hoffman's opening scene in this movie. He just has this fantastic fight with his boss in his boss's office, just like going back and forth. He's got this great sort of cutting sense of humor in this film. He looks very different than his normal roles. He's got like sort of dark hair with like gray streaks in it, not that usual sort of blonde look that he has. He's a little more pudgier. He's just like this battered CIA veteran, and he has this fantastic argument with his boss, ends up breaking the boss's window, and he's like that throughout the scene. I also love the where he and Charlie Wilson meet. Charlie Wilson goes to Afghanistan and sees what's going on. He sees all the he goes to Pakistan, and he goes to the Pakistani president, his palace, and he wants to get a drink. And of course there's no alcohol in the whole country, basically, because Muslims don't drink alcohol. So he makes a great mistake there, and he has this like thing with the Pakistani president and his two aides. And then he goes out to the refugee camp, all the Afghanistan refugees who are fleeing from sort of the carnage that the Soviets are sort of forcing upon them with their helicopter attacks, just mowing down people, and like 300,000. I think he says at one point like a quarter of the Afghanistan people are living in the northwest border of northwest territory of Pakistan, on the border right there. And he goes to the camp and hears the stories and sees all the like children with their arms blown off, and he comes back and he's like, I want somebody from the CIA in my office at like 10 o'clock, and that's when Philip Seymour Hoffman shows up, and they have this great thing when they meet in his office, because at the same time all his secretaries, like there's one nicknamed Jailbait. He's got like these four beautiful women working in his office, and he's sort of come under fire because of this hot tub party, because people were doing cocaine, and he might be indicted, and he's like shuffling in Philip Seymour Hoffman every time the girls come in. He has to go out by the door, and then there's just this great back and forth between he and Charlie Wilson in his office. He gives him a present, a bottle of scotch, and one time when Philip Seymour Hoffman comes back in, he's like, so you're gonna be indicted? And he's like, you heard that? You were listening by the door? And he's like, no, I just bugged the bottle. And so he makes him take out the bug in the bottle. Really great stuff. I love films about sort of espionage and history, especially, I mean, this is a very interesting period because of course the Afghan Soviet war lasted throughout the 80s, and then it culminated with the end, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and the Berlin Wall coming down, basically the end of communism. And this whole time, this congressman from Texas basically went out of his way to send money and weapons to the Mujahideen, the freedom fighters in Afghanistan. Basically $1 billion ended up going over to him to get all these weapons, these like rockets to take down the helicopters. You see like this footage of all the helicopters getting blown up. It says how many of tanks they've been destroyed, how many helicopters, and so on throughout the war effort. It's really great as well because to get all this weaponry to Afghanistan, he basically has to team up with Israel, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Pakistan, because they have Israel has like the largest stockpile of these weapons, these Russian weapons, and the Israelis aren't very happy about teaming up with the Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, etc., who've been trying to basically wipe them off the face of the earth. So that's great as well. The sad truth is, though, this is a very poignant film considering what happened post the war. Of course, the Mujahideen, these freedom fighters, basically became the Taliban, and the beginnings of Al Qaeda, all that kind of stuff. And basically, the U.S. didn't learn their lesson from the Russians. I mean, how long have we been in Afghanistan now? We still are. We went in like just a couple years after 9/11, like 2002, 2003, and it's already 10, 11 years later. We didn't learn our lesson, and we're still fighting these people. The Russians got out 9, 10 years after they invaded, and we're still there. We didn't learn our lesson. That's for damn sure. And they make a great point of illustrating that at the end of the film. After the Russians get driven out, it's mentioned that I mean, we're trying to just send $1 million over there to rebuild schools, and like the committee, whatever the committee that the congressman is on that has been like getting money for the war and weapons and stuff. They're like, no, we don't need to rebuild the schools. And at the end of the war, half the population in Afghanistan is under the age of 14. So what did they all grow up to be 15 years later? If you do the math, they're all young, intelligent men, or at least men who've sort of suffered through that war and got all this resentment towards the U.S., etc., for not like helping rebuild the country after the war. That's what became the Taliban and Al Qaeda and all that kind of stuff. And there's a great quote at the end of the film. Charlie Wilson before the credits roll, it comes up on the screen. It's all these things happen, they changed the world, but then we fucked up the end game, and that's basically what happened. I should also mention that Amy Adams is in the film as well. I can't forget her, because we just had Amy Adams week as well. I mean, she wasn't really a big star at the time when this film was made. Well, it was after Enchanted, I think, and obviously Junebug and stuff. But she plays Charlie Wilson's secretary. So she's great as well. We've got some great young actresses who play the secretaries and stuff. Rachel Nichols, no relation to the director. Emily Blunt has a really sexy scene in this. She's like hooking up with Tom Hanks in a hotel, and she's like in a bra and panties and wearing a shirt, but the shirt is open, so she's just sexy as hell in this movie. And she has one scene. Yeah, I like Amy Adams. Like I said, there's a great shot of her after all that footage of the helicopters and the tanks getting blown up. There's a shot of her that starts out in the back of her leg. She's like walking down the hallway in the congressman's like office area, and you see the back of her head, and her hair is like flipping back and forth. She has like her hair in a ponytail. It's like flipping back and forth as she's like walking down the hallway. I love that shot. It's just a really fun movie. The dialogue is great, especially between Philip Seymour Hoffman and Charlie Wilson. And Charlie Wilson, just this great energy, this good old boy from Texas. Tom Hanks is terrific. And it's just a really cool film. I think it's a great movie. It was one of my favorites of 2007. It's not a film that gets talked about much, but it's a very important film, like I said, for the reasons. I mean, we helped Afghanistan defeat the Russians, and then we sort of left them to their own devices, and we've been paying for it ever since, basically. So that is Charlie Wilson's War from 2007. Really good film. If you're a fan of Philip Seymour Hoffman, definitely worth checking out. I believe he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in this film as well. He's just great in it. They're all great. I'm not the hugest Julia Roberts fan. She's good as well, but yeah, Tom Hanks, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Amy Adams, really a bunch of sexy women. Just a fun film, and really historically important film as well. So thank you for watching. Make sure you check out all the guys' videos this week. It's a sad week, of course. Philip Seymour Hoffman tribute week, a great actor, and a big loss. So yeah, thank you for watching, and until next time, I'll see you.
Bomb.